you guys want to learn more about Giannis's right knee injury, we're going to go over what's going on and what his prognosis is going to look like. My name is Dr. Marco Lopez, Doctor of Physical Therapy and Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist and co-founder of the Basketball Doctors. All right, guys, let's jump into Giannis's injury. So he was diagnosed with right patellar tendinopathy, which is known as jumper's knee. So jumper's knee is just thickening of the tendon, your patellar tendon. So that's the tendon right below your kneecap. And it usually happens due to overuse injury when you're playing high impact sports such as basketball, football, or soccer that involve a lot of the quads and a lot of excessive forces, decelerated landing, or just overusing that quad muscle. So that gets sometimes commonly confused with tendonitis. So the difference between jumper's knee, which is tendinopathy / tendinosis, versus tendonitis. So tendonitis is more of an acute event, acute flare-up. So let's say Giannis had a tournament where he played 5 games this past weekend, and on Monday he starts feeling some pain. That's more tendonitis. But usually with tendinosis, tendinopathy, it's more over time, gradual. So you'll see a lot of players now as they're ramping up the season, more games and more games, you'll see a lot of people sit out with some soreness. And that soreness is usually from that patellar tendinopathy that just gets overloaded when you're jumping, running, and doing those activities that happen in basketball. So why is Giannis being diagnosed with this injury now? So like I mentioned, a lot of people sometimes have that already. A lot of basketball players have that. But sometimes there's these flare-ups as you're going through the season. He's probably having that knee issue earlier on in the season, and it's now lingering and it's getting worse as the season goes up, more minutes. So big thing with Giannis at this point, sometimes they have these load management things that we need to work on with these athletes, meaning like for him, maybe they got to the point where his normal soreness, which a lot of people play through some normal soreness, let's say his normal soreness was a 5, now it's a 7 or 8. So sometimes they might have had to decrease his minutes or just completely shut it down for a game or two while they're still working on his rehab. So with this rehab, we're thinking he's going to be still loading up the tendon, but isometrically. We have a great jumper's knee rehab program if you guys want to learn more about how to really treat jumper's knee, but he's still getting that tendon stronger. But the big thing is sometimes you want to decrease the amount of physical activity early on when you have too much soreness because you're overloading that tendon. You're still doing some activity, but you want to decrease that activity. That way the tendon just kind of calms down and you start slowly loading it. And I think that's what's happening with him at this point. So how do you manage his symptoms during the season? So they're probably going to be looking at his ankle mobility, working on some soft tissue in his quads, working on some flexibility, also working on BFR, meaning like decreasing that stress in the joint, getting those quad muscles stronger, hamstrings, also glutes. So just taking the whole global picture of Giannis and really working on mechanical and muscle loading, and while also still loading his tendon because he doesn't want to completely rest it, because then he'll get flared up if he goes completely resting. So they're trying to just manage his symptoms, but still working on all the impairments that he has that might be contributing to that jumper's knee. If you're dealing with some jumper's knee, you want to learn more about jumper's knee, we have a great bunch of videos on jumper's knee, but we also have a great online rehab program. The link is in our description below. You can do it all online at home, but the big thing is you want to be managing your symptoms when you're dealing with jumper's knee, even during the season, off season. That way you really make sure that tendon gets strong and it doesn't get to the point where it just gets worse and worse and worse. But if you guys have any questions regarding jumper's knee, comment below, we'll try to answer them. And if you like this video, share this with friends and family, subscribe to our channel. We are the Basketball Doctors. Let's ball for life.